Jungkook walked down and his eyes landed on a particular figure, and automatically a smile appeared on his face. As he walked in the kitchen, adoring her from distance as she has a messy bun while there is a tension visible on her face. As she is biting her lips and her hands on her waist, and she made a small pout, and he chuckled lightly noticing the details. He felt like his heartbeat racing, looking at her, but his heart skipped a beat almost when she looked at him with the pout. But then she realized her gesture, and she corrected herself as she bit her lips, shutting her eyes, and took a long breath before speaking. Good morning. And he cleared his throat before replying, Good morning. You looked at him playing with your fingers, and he noticed as you frowned and walked towards you. Actually, he has racing blues, and your heart beat faster when he came close. Actually, you looked down. Breakfast got warm. You nervously said. He looked at the pan, which is black, and then you, who is stealing glances innocently as if you didn't know how this happened because you are innocent. And he tilted his head. Ryan, he said softly, and you looked at him. Huh? I'm sure you didn't hurt yourself, he asked calmly, and your mouth hung open a little as you tried to hide your hand with your sleeves, but he noticed. And he took your hand as he noticed a red burning mark which made him glare at you and look at you with a turned face, and you shut your eyes as he touched it gently, pressing your lips not to make any sound, and he glared at you with a scold look. She knows she will be getting scolded, but Jungkook sighed as he looked at you. How many times I have told you not to cook, huh? He calmly said, and you looked at him surprised. He looked at the mess you have created and sighed heavily, but he walked, and her gaze followed him as he breakfasted kid as he put on dining table and looked at you. Come here, he said, and you slowly walked. And when he made you sit, he knelt down and applied ointment gently while you stared at his features closely because you rarely seen him this close. It's been only a month since you both get married, and it was an arranged marriage. You find him scary at first, the way he looked at you first. Like the look was so cold, you still remember, but then you talked to him, and he's not that bad at all. He was so calm while talking and sounded you a gentleman, so you agreed. Before marriage, you cleared your all flaws with him. That what bad habits you have and what are your good habits, everything. Because you were so open and he was so reserved. You told him you can't cook, and that time was the first time you saw him smiling, because with a soft smile he said, I will cook, no worries, which caught you, and you immediately said yes to the marriage. His nature is reserved and a bit cold, which is totally opposite from your nature, but he's caring. Even though you both don't share a husband-wife bond, which mostly husband-wife do, because you both stay in different rooms, and reason he told you that he wanted to make sure that you are comfortable, that he doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. It didn't take you much time to fall in love with him. He is soft-spoken, but at times he scolds you for being careless. Not at times, mostly, because you are clumsy. So today, she decided to impress him with her cooking skill, which she doesn't have, but still tried to give a try, but unfortunately ended up creating mess because kitchen and she doesn't share a good relationship. He passed you a glare, and you just stared at him when he got up, done applying the ointment on your hand as he folded arms across his chest, and you finally get it courage to look at him. I was trying to make breakfast, he said slowly, and he squinted. You told me you don't like cooking, You looked other side, poking your cheek. How is she gonna explain him that she was trying to impress her own husband who is already good for her? She doesn't know. He tilted his head a little, looking at her briefly. He was sitting like an innocent cat after creating mess, and he smiled internally as he sighed. I will hire a cook, he finally said, and you looked at him guilty. You got fed up of me, right? She said with a small pout, and he frowned with a faint smile. Are you perhaps high? What are you saying? And she got up as he stared her. I can cook. Being your wife, you still need a cook. Then what I am for? She said innocently, and he frowned. You are my what? He asked her again, and she looked at him. Wife. Yes, you are my wife. Then how it's related to cooking, ma'am? That's what all wives do, right? My mom, your mom, every wife out there except me. He squinted. You talked Oma? He asked, and she nodded, and he sighed. I can, he mumbled. Can I know, ma'am, why you stopped being blunt for nowadays? He asked, raising brows, and she looked at him, biting her lips. I can't talk back to your mom, she replied in low voice, and he sighed. You're my wife, not a maid. You will have to cook for me and clean my house and all. You walk a little closer. I know that thing, but that's basic etiquette. He folded his arms across his chest. Is there anywhere written that wife will always cook and clean? You look down. Ma'am, just do me a favor. Do everything except cooking. For that, I'm here right now. And she looked at him, playing with fingers. You will get cook all the lifetime if I didn't learn cooking? He stared her intently. I will, he said without hesitation. She stared at him, feeling overwhelmed because she didn't ask for that much. Her insecurity flew away, looking at the sincerity in his eyes. He's too good to be true. Sit, I'll make breakfast. And he went to kitchen while she just stared at him. She stared at him like she's looking at her dream. He's too good for her, as she is a rebel kid, but he make her obedient kid because he make her do things for him which she really doesn't like to at all. But she wants to be a perfect wife for him. But what's the perfect wife definition? It's different for both of them. She's not really a big fan of household things, which she never did. But what a fortune. She got a partner like that who really treats her like a princess of the house. Because she knows what she do in the house. She looked down because she wanted to cook for him because his mother told her how happy he gets when he gets his favorite food. He knows cooking but he really used to do before marriage. This information got her when his mother told her. So she decided to impress him today but ended up making him irritated. Yes, he didn't show but she knows. He gets irritated when he doesn't find things are organized. When he looked at her, he was looking down, and a smile crept on his face, looking at her, because he knows why she was cooking. It's his favorite dish. And he smiled more internally after knowing the girl who hates cooking, showing some interest in cooking. And he chuckled lightly, and feel overwhelmed for her efforts. He married to her, but he feels like he won the life. But then he looked at the kitchen and pressed his lips together, controlling himself. You are eating and staring at him because you really can't predict him because he makes you surprised every time with his antics. There's a silence felt in the environment which makes you annoyed because you really can't live without talking. But Jungkook is very opposite because he doesn't talk that much. Like even if you don't start conversation, he won't speak. Or if you did something and he have to scold you. When will you come today? You asked, breaking the silence, and he looked at you. I think on time. There's not much work, he replied and again focused on food. Mr. Ice Cube, and he looked at you again. Hmm? He hummed in your response. You didn't scold me today? He looked at her blankly. You wanted to get scolded? You shook your head. No, I was just saying because you always do. He stared at her briefly. So you do intentionally to get scolded. You spoke your inner cheek. No, it feels weird. You didn't scold me for creating mess. You blurted out and he stared at you for a while. Then focus went back to the food. You are getting habituated, he mumbled and you nodded slightly. Maybe. Shrugging your shoulder and his eyes on her while eating. You love getting scolded then, I think. You look at him. No, it feels so familiar. You scold me like my Oma. The way she used to scold me. My Oma wife's total. Plus, at least for this reason you talk more than usual, he bluntly said, and he stopped as he looked at you and you gulped down the pipe. No, I mean, you look at me as your Oma? He asked, raising brows, and you stared at him for a while, chewing. No, I look at you as my family, because my Oma is my family. She replied innocently and started eating again, looking down. Unknowingly, a smile formed on his lips when she called him her family. He felt a twitch in his stomach, and they had finally their breakfast silently. How are you both? She asked as she served them water and said, We are good. How about you both? He asked and you smiled. We are good too. You should be, she said and you just smiled. We'll stay here tonight. Sure, why not? It's your house. And Mr. Jungkook. Just for one night because we have to attend wedding here, so that's why. You know that. We don't want to disturb your privacy. You smile nervously and some realization hits you. Yeah. When Jungkook came losing his tie as he looked tired and stressed, and you got up and she looked at him and he looked at you and smiled a little. Hi, Umappa is here, you said, and he finally looked at them and they passed him a smile and Jungkook smiled. What a pleasant surprise, as he hugged his father and mother, as we supposed to. So how are you, son? He said, I'm good, how about you both? They smiled. We are also. It's family reunion for them, as they talked when you extended him a glass of water. Thanks. You can stay here as much time as you want. They smiled and shook head. Just for a night. Otherwise we'll disturb your privacy. Jungkook is about to say something but stopped, as he looked at Ryan, and she raised her brows for the same question which she got. You were taking dishes to the kitchen when Mrs. John came to help you. You looked at her. Oh, it's okay, you said, but she cut you off. It's okay, I'll help you. You just nodded. Both of you went to kitchen with dishes when Mrs. John looked at you. You guys still don't share a bedroom? You remain silent as you don't know what to. You should answer. And she walked near you. I know my son very well, she said, and she looked at her being nervous as she sighed. He's your husband, daughter, and you need to fulfill some duties as a wife. You know what I mean, she said, approaching you as you remained silent. It's okay for some extent, but at some point you need to realize this. After all, he's a man, and man needs to be controlled by wife, or she said, insisting. And when Jungkook walked in the kitchen and his looked at you, and her nervous one eyes met the hardened ones, as he knows what's going on, as he walked near them. Oh ma, she looked at him with a slight. Yes, son. Actually, it's good you came, she said, and she looked at him. You both will be sharing room from now on, she ordered, and Jungkook just looked at her in disbelief. As he walked near you and standing in front of you, he looked at his mother. I told you everything then, he said. Yeah, but for some time. But don't you think if you don't try to get comfortable with each other, you won't be? Jungkook rolled his eyes. Oh, I won't, if she is not comfortable with me. He stopped as you squeezed his hand a little, and he looked at your hand and knew. Oma, we will, and I will keep in mind what you told me. You softly said, and Jungkook looked at you surprised. Listen, Mayan, she said, Jungkook. You said, assuring him, and Mrs. Jones smiled at you. Good, then sleep. Good night, you both, she said, and you just gave her a small smile, and she walked. Jungkook looked at you, and you looked at him nervously. Are you sure about that? He asked, and you looked down, then looked at him again as you hold his hand. Very sure. I was also thinking the same, that we should start sharing room. After all, I'm your wife. Jungkook just stared at you. You're laying on the bed as you're nervous but mixed emotion inside you. Jungkook came out after taking shower. You both have an eye contact, but you look away, bite your lips in nervousness. Jungkook's heart is also pounding as he takes his steps slowly towards the bed. Laid down, and you smiled at him, and he smiled back nervously. There's an awkward silence between you both. He looked at you as you are already looking at him. You just stared at his feature for a brief moment, as he does too. To break the awkwardness, you started the conversation. Mr. Ice Cube, do you have any girlfriend before marriage? You asked out of blue, and he frowned in frozen at your question. What? No, he replied. Right, how it would be after all you was an ice cube and unromantic. You mumbled lowly, but he raised rose. Excuse me, what do you mean by that? Nothing. You smiled and he looked at you. What about you? He asked nervously. Me what? You exclaimed. I mean, have you been in relationship? Nervously, and you turned towards him. I got many offers, and he looked at you and lifted up himself a little, towering your body. You stopped and looked at him. So you had a boyfriend, he said unexpressionably, and his facial expression changed, and you chuckled and shook your head. No, I rejected all of them because I was focusing on my studies. He sighed in relief and laid down back, putting his hand on his forehead. And again there is a silence-filled environment. And you peeped at him and see his eyes are closed. And you exhaled a long breath and chuckled slightly. Mr. Ice Cube, you mumbled and turned your face to the side. He secretly looked at you and smiled, then turned off the light. He was continuously changing his side as he couldn't sleep, and he turned and looked at you, sleeping peacefully, and a smile crept on his face when he closed his eyes, but after a while he suddenly felt a hand on his face. When he opened his eyes, and his heart skipped a beat by seeing your face closer to his. And it was when he lost in your innocence, and suddenly you hugged him, making more tightly, making him gulp, and his heart raced so fast. His gaze stuck on you, and he looked away quickly. What's wrong with you, Jungkook? What the hell you were thinking? He cursed himself in his low voice. And suddenly you put a leg on him, making him spread hitch. Now his sleep flew away. An unknown sensation rushed inside his body. As he removed your hand slowly and put it back gently, and pulled back himself, and made distance while putting his hand on his chest, he exhaled a long breath. I just lost my control for a while. What's wrong with me? Why I just was going to kiss her when she was asleep? What she'll think of me, he thought in mind. As he turned on the other side, and suddenly again you hugged him from back. In sleep, he shut his eyes as he is feeling ticklish because of your touch. As you slowly removed your hand and quickly got up from the bed and looked at your sleeping figure. Why can't you sleep without moving, Ryan? He mumbled. That's why I was scared to sleep with you. God damn, my weird thoughts, he mumbled. And he looked at you for a while, but then he slowly took a pillow and went to sleep on the couch. He laid on the couch and looked at you from the distance. She's your own wife. I'm too scared of making any move. Maybe she won't like, he said to himself. You yawned and sat on the bed as your alarm rings, but your eyes still closed. And you opened to see Jungkook, but he's not on the bed. But then your eyes landed on the couch. See him sleeping there, and you frowned your brows in confusion and got up from the bed. Slowly went to him and sat on your knees. And you stirred his face with a smile as you caressed his hair, making him move and sleep. As he slowly opened his eyes, just to meet yours, and his heart skipped a beat. And you smiled as he does too. His hands reaches to your cheeks and to kiss them gently. Your heart pounded so fast because of his touch. Good morning, good morning. But then he leaned in and your body got goosebumps as you closed your eyes. Then some realization hits him as he quickly sat and caused himself underneath. You looked at him in confusion as he looked at you. I'm sorry. But he got up, but you held his wrist as you got up and looked at him. What happened? You asked and he didn't say anything. You walked near him as you looked at the blanket and couch and then him. Why you were sleeping at couch? You asked him in confusion and he closed his eyes. Took a while to answer. Nothing actually. You were moving so much so. He replied without looking and you frowned. Means you were hugging me while sleeping, he said without looking at you, and you understood. You felt embarrassed and you closed your eyes before answering. So, what's the problem? You normally said, and he looked at you surprised. Do I smell bad? That you couldn't sleep when I was hugging you? You asked curiously, and he stared at you, being sure. It's nothing like that. Then you raised brows and he looked away and remained silent while you constantly pinched him with questions, making him piss a little. Yeah, tell me what happened. Why you couldn't sleep when I was hugging you? Jungkook shut his eyes as he looked at you. Yes, I couldn't sleep when you were hugging me because I have a habit to sleep freely. I was feeling suffocated, so don't hug me while sleeping, okay? A little scoldingly in one go, and you blinked multiple times listening his answer. You were feeling suffocated when I was hugging you. You asked, confirming, and he shut his eyes. Yes, a little loudly, and you looked at him speechless, and he realizes, shut his eyes as he scratched his head a little. Okay, finally I got it today. Why you don't want to share bedroom with me? Because I suffocate you. Yeah, you laughed dryly, and he shook his head. Well, listen. No, you listen to me, Mr. Jungkook. Now you will sleep alone for your rest of life. Because I'm never going to share bedroom with you. You angrily said with a faded smile while Jungkook continuously shook his head. No, I didn't mean. No, I got what you mean. Yeah, I was feeling guilty for you that how green flag this man is, thinking about me, but no, he's thinking about himself. Seriously, Jungkook, how can you say that things like that? Jungkook shook his head. Listen to me, Ryan. I'm thinking myself as a red flag, but this man. You fake cried and Jungkook regretted his whole life decision. Now when your mom will come to tell me, I will tell to your mama and say her that teacher has son, not me. Oh God. He tried to hold her hand but you jerked his hand. You deserve to sleep alone, Mr. Ice Cube. You stomp your foot before walking out. Jungkook grabbed his hat as he looked in the direction where you got disappeared, as you didn't give him a chance to speak, and he regretted his words. And he punched in air like how it shouldn't be go like this. For the first time you shared room with him as he remembers your words. Whole life sleep alone. His thoughts horrified him as he quickly shrugged them off. Jungkook sits on his place and he looked at you while you just glared at him and looked away with a sarcastic chuckle. He cursed himself underneath because this might be the first time you both had fight like a couple. But for the first time he's seeing you showing wife tantrums, which he finds cute but can't bear ignoring him. Son, have this, I made your favorite dish, she said as he looked at you. Can you pass that bowl, Ryan? You glared at him and he played it with her eyes with a soft smile. You just slide the bowl a little without looking at him and he raised rose at your stubbornness and smiled too a little as he looked at you while you squint your brows looking at him who is almost laughing at you as you digged your chopstick in your bowl, glaring at him and he chuckled internally looking at your actions. Well, you got pissed off more with a complete check. Cute, he mumbled looking at her smiling. Son, we decided to stay here for a week as I have been sold after a long time. I hope you don't have any problems. Jungkook smiled. No, Appa, it's your house. Stay as much as you want, he replied smiling. Mr. John smiled and nodded. Fine, I have to go for shopping. Will you help me on that? She asked and you looked at her with a small smile. Sure, Ma, I will come with you. When Jungkook spoke, Ma, if you say I can help you too. Before Mrs. John can reply you no need. In ladies shopping, what you will do? And he raised rose. Help my ladies, he replied smiling mischievously and you gave him a blank look and Mrs. John smiled looking at them. You can come if you want, she replied and her brows straightened and Jungkook raised rose at you. Sure then, Oma, he can help you, then I will do my other work. Smiling at him while Mrs. John pressed her lips together, controlling her smile looking at you for. Oh son, if you have that much time, then you can help me. I need your help in some stuff, he said in between while you smiled in satisfaction. Yeah, Appa, but I had some meeting also. Mr. John squinted brows while you controlled your smile looking down as he noted. Then how you were going to help your ladies? He asked raising brows and he gulped down. Actually, Appa, he will help you, Appa. Don't worry. You interrupt with a proud smile on your face. And me and Amma go for shopping. Jungkook sighed. Okay, he said giving up as he glared at you while you teased him. Play as much as you want. You will come to my bedroom at night anyway. He thanked in mind, smiling to himself while he looked at him, confused what's going on in his mind. You really had a tiring day all day shopping with Mrs. John in between handling your husband who is not leaving you at peace, as he called you 1,000 times today. But you didn't bother to pick as you are also enjoying in little because the things he is doing right now is out of his character and you are feeling really good getting his too much attention, which is rare. Mr. John and Mrs. John went to a wedding as you did shopping all day for that and you got late today as you have done some shopping for you after Mrs. John's shopping is done as she left early as she has to attend a wedding. You spent some extra time outside which you informed Jungkook by message that you had your dinner too and brought dinner as well. You're not mad at him anymore because he really might not mean all that. You didn't give him chance to speak. You really enjoyed for your me time as you throw your shopping bags on sofa and looked at for a particular figure which is nowhere to seen in your sight. You took the teddy which is really soft as you hugged it tightly, smiling. My sleeping partner, you mumbled. And someone cleared throat as you quickly straightened and back to your cold mode, knowing the voice. As you turned and looked at him standing, hands in his pockets, as his hairs are wet and he's wearing his casual. He's looking handsome as he just came out from shower. You look away as you caught yourself shamelessly checking him. because his shirt is sticking to his wet body and you can see his well body. Why didn't you pick my calls? And he front ends. You don't know what he is talking about. You called? I didn't know. You replied as if you don't know anything. Jungkook walked near you as he took calculative steps and your heart pounded fast while he's giving you cold glares. I hope you have seen my missed calls when you dropped me message. While you felt your throat getting dry looking at his aura. Yes, you replied gulping and he stared you for a while. In my room now, he ordered and you looked at him in astonishment. Why in your room? You asked and he shook his head as he looked at you again. Not our room to sleep, he said, correcting himself as he is about to walk. I will sleep in my room. Why in that room? No, you replied without hesitation. You yourself said, now I am saying, you will sleep with me from now on, he declared, and you blinked multiple times. I won't. I'm going in my room. Here, your dinner. Have it, you said, handing dinner which you brought from him. You walked towards your room while he just watched you, as his hands in his pocket, as you tried to open the door, but it didn't open, and he chuckled sarcastically as you tried to unlock it, but it didn't, as he looked at in his direction, who has a smoke plastered on his face, and he showed you keys, and your brow straightened as you shut your eyes before cursing underneath. Chuck, you mumbled. And he chuckled. In my room now. If you want your room keys, I'm waiting. You must be tired of ignoring me, huh? Listen, Jungkook. In our bedroom, sweetheart. Say there whatever you want to say. He walked whistling with playing with keys and his hands as he walked upstairs. When you just glared at him and his behavior really made you piss now. Because he never done this before. He always been gentle with you. Maybe he really got pissed because you ignored his calls. You are also stubborn. You won't go to that room, as you took swear to yourself. As you sit on the sofa furiously. I'm going to sleep. And in some time, Oma Appa will also come. Remember. Jungkook looked at his watch as he's too stunned to how stubborn you are. But he smiled proudly because he knows you must be coming in meantime. Because he knows you don't have any option. 3, 2, 1. Door opened and he smiled as he didn't look because he knows. You walked in slowly as you noticed him, who was sitting while busy in his phone. As he slowly closed the door while he didn't look at you. You just stared at him because you didn't want to smack his head, but you chose to stay silent. You had to come in the room because his mom and dad come back from the party and it's really late, almost 11 p.m. You silently took your pillow and your teddy bear, which you brought in today, and laid down on the bed hugging him. Jungkook noticed your every moment without looking at you. As he finally turned to see you, and he frowned looking at the teddy bear which you are hugging and closing your eyes peacefully. Jungkook felt something looking at the teddy bear which you are hugging tightly. What is this? He asked and you didn't open. My sleeping partner, so that I won't hug you and suffocate you while sleeping. He gave you a blank. Are you kid? He asked, being sarcastic. I don't want to talk to you, so sleep and let me sleep. You changed your side as he stared at you for a while. Jungkook stared at her for 10 to 15 minutes, briefly scanning her movements, as he felt getting jealous as she was hugging the teddy bear and slugging in him, while there is a soft smile on your face. The teddy bear is quite big, and he gets mad as he laid down the bed, being anxious and jealous, as he threw daggers on her, which she could feel briefly, but she chose to ignore because she is feeling really good hugging him. It's really soft and cozy, and can be the best sleeping partner when the man in front of her getting mad, not getting anything, what he should do. and he kissed the teddy bear in his sleep, and his mouth hung open because of jealousy at its peak. That should be me, he mumbled to himself. He snuggled more while Jungkook got done as he sat on the bed aggressively looked at her. Get up fine, he commanded as he opened her eyes sleepy. What? Sleep now. It's already late. I'm not disturbing your sleep now. Talk tomorrow. I'm sleepy. But I'm not sleepy at all. Please get up. I'm already fed up. Let's sort this out right now. He looked at him for a while, having no words. What's your problem? Jungkook gently took the teddy bear from your embrace as he threw it on the floor, while your mouth hung open a little. Thus, he said as you jumped off the bed and took your teddy bear. What is this behavior? He's my Pookie. You can't just throw it like that, you said, hugging him while he got pissed more as he got up. Jungkook walked near you while you looked at him with the same rage as he looked at your teddy bear, clenching his jaw. That's what I'm asking. What is this behavior? Why you're doing this? What I have done? You squint first. You are asking me what you have done? Do you have memory problem, Mr. John? You asked, frowning. And he remained silent as he wants to say a lot but struggling to find words as he took a deep breath. Let me remind you, it's not me, it's you. You are behaving weird. First, you scold me for hugging you. You told me that I was suffocating you. Now, locked my room. What's wrong with you? I don't want to sleep with you. I have my Pookie. I will hug him and sleep with him. Jungkook made face. Then you should have married to your Pookie. Why you married me? He asked with a rage, and you looked at him surprised at his sudden behavior. Then gave him a tight-lipped smile. I would have done if people don't find me weird. At least he let me do whatever I want. Let me hug him. You said, hugging him, making him more pissed as you look at him. Unlike you, who don't let me hug you when I was sleeping, you blurt out without even realizing. When Jungkook snatched your teddy bear as he threw it somewhere in room, and your mouth hung open, but then only a gasp left from your mouth as he caged you between in his arms. His hands are at both of your sides as you looked at him, gulping down the lump as his face is too close to yours and there is an intensity in his eyes. What are you doing? That's what I'm thinking, what I'm going to do, he said in most huskiest voice, sending shivers to your spine. Jungkook, catching breath as he gently brushed his hands on your cheek, sending breath to slice to your stomach. He shushed you as he gently put a finger on your lips while you curled down, looking at him as if he's doing something to you. Jungkook stared at you for a few good minutes while you couldn't stand under those stares, which is intimidating you, and sweat covered your forehead, and he smiled slightly, looking at his impact on you. He was doing nothing, just his gentle touch making you go crazy, and you shut your eyes as he suddenly pulled you close while your hands automatically reached to his chest, trying to maintain distance as he looked at her closely. You drive me crazy, he whispered as you slowly opened your eyes just to meet his intense ones. What are we going to do? You nervously said, asked, knowing the intensity of the environment. How do you feeling? He asked, and you looked down, and when he lifted up by your chin to make you look at him. Eyes on me when I'm talking to you, he said in a dominating voice while you gulped. You bothered me a lot today, didn't you? How many times I have called you? He asked, whispering. 200 missed calls, you replied, feeling defeated, and he pulled you more closer, making your eyes twitched. You can't even handle me when I am mad at you, so don't put yourself in trouble, he said as you looked at him slowly. Are we listening, Mrs. John? You felt your stomach twitch as you slowly nodded. Yes, as he slowly loosened the grip while you catch the breath which you were holding from a long time, and he stared her features closely as she looked down. You don't suffocate me, he blurted out as you looked at him as you waited for him to say something, but he remained silent. So you speak. If I don't suffocate you, there is nothing wrong hugging your own wife. and there is a slight smile appeared on his face as he folded arm across his chest. Nothing wrong until you gave me weird thoughts. He finally spoke as you looked at him, and there is a smile on his face while you feel your blood rushing to your cheeks. Weird thoughts, you know what I mean? He said, pressing words as your cheeks turned red, knowing what does he mean. Your existence seduced me. So when you came that close to me, you can imagine. He confessed, and your cheeks burned, and your face is red by now. And he chuckled, looking at your face. I don't want to make you uncomfortable unless you are ready, he said as you played with your fingers, trying hard to hide your blush. He sighed, smiling, shaking his head as he realized what he just said. And by now you were unable to make eye contact with him as he looked at your teddy and peered than you. Your husband is jealous of this teddy. If you continue sleeping with him, then I can't control myself, he said as you stared him, biting your lip. He sighed as he shook his head, realizing he forgot mouth filter for a while, and thought in mind he might have made you uncomfortable as he looked at you who was looking down. I'm sorry, he said out of blue as he about to walk, but you held his wrist as he looked at you. You don't have to. I'm your own wife, you said with a smile as you walked near him. It's good you told me. You don't need to be sorry for feeling that way, you said, smiling. That's my responsibility to fulfill your needs, you said with reassuring smile. When Jungkook tilted his head a little as he cupped your face. Don't listen to Amma, I told you before, he said, kissing your cheeks with thumb. But she's right though, I didn't thought about this thing before. You're my wife, my wife. I respect you, your comfort, your happiness is my priority. I admit as a man I couldn't control, but I said it came with flow. I felt that way. Stupid, I have that much control on myself, he said, chuckling as you chuckled. I know. That's why I said you won't do anything like that, you said, smiling as you both stared at each other for a while. I need your consent. I won't do anything against your will. And it's not something that you need to fulfill your husband needs as a wife. Your comfort and discomfort matters too, baby. You smiled. I will never force you. I'm sorry what I did today because I wanted to talk to you. You can sleep wherever you want. That's up to you. But at the end, come back to me. Don't ignore me because I can't take that. You smiled as tears started to fill in your eyes, listening to him. I'm your devotee, my everything, the person who makes me happy, the person who makes me feel that life is so beautiful, he said softly, and he chuckled with tears. I didn't ask for this much as I got. As the tears slid down, which he wiped up. You are too good for me, and he chuckled, as you are for me, because we are deeply in love, he said, pinching your nose, and you looked down and looked at him, admiring. I love you, he smiled brightly, squeezing his eyes as he felt his heart skipping a beat at your confession, and looked at you. I love you too, moon and back. You hugged him as your tears flowed down, feeling overwhelmed, and he rested his chin on your head. Thank you for coming in my life, he smiled. Thank you for making my world brighter, he replied, and he chuckled as he broke the hug. Don't be so good that I might start doubting myself, he gave a cheek. You're my queen and deserve to be like that, he chuckled. You're real. I feel like a dream at times that I'm in my imagination, he chuckled. I'm for real. You straight came from fictional world, a fictional man. You said, admiring him, and he smiled as he gently pressed his lips on your forehead, and you closed your eyes, feeling his touch as he looked at you. Don't give me too much compliment. I didn't even show my 1% of love. Are you sure you can handle me? And you scrunched your nose. We'll see, he chuckled. Your room keys, he said, extending you, and you looked at it and then him. This is my room, and from today onwards, our room. And I want to sleep hugging my teddy bear, you said, hugging him while he blew some air smilingly.